Три полоски. Адидас кроссовки. Три полоски.
Здравствуйте! In today's video we're going to build a tank T90 from Zvezda. So, kit is in the 70-second scale. In the instruction manual we have decal sheet and of course scheme. Instruction manual was straightforward. I think it was just in the 70-second scale, so it was easy. Here you can see some parts. So here you can see the first sprue. Here, main gun barrel from one piece, I think, but it has a little bit of mold line. Some fenders, you can see all the wheels, some drive sprocket, and again some little, maybe 1mm drive sprocket here. First of all, I thought it was from rubble. I was wrong, it was made from plastic, but from a whole piece, which I didn't never assemble it, so it will be a challenge for me. Lower hull with amazing details for 70 scale, again with nice details. As usual, I start with cutting plastic parts from the sprue with sharp side cutters. And of course cleaning some impurities with very sharp knife. This is how it looks assembled, whole turret. And of course hatches. One I decided to make opened and one closed, because I don't have tank with open hatch, and this hatch have pretty nice details. Now I'm making something like smoke launchers or rocket launchers, and gluing some accessories to the fender of the turret. Now I glue the support for the side armor, and cutting the main gun barrel, and cleaning some impurities with very sharp knife, and of course cleaning the mold lines. Gluing nozzle with extra thin glue. And again on the side armor cleaning. I use for gluing this side armor's thick glue Revel Contacta. And I must glue this from plate armor. Little box for maybe some accessories, I think. And now I'm making a machine gun for the turret. Cutting some grill armor, maybe for RPGs. As you can see, I have a new tweezers. Finally. This is how it looks assembled. Again, machine gun on the top of the turret. Some other armors on the turret. On the back section, some accessories like back. And I use for gluing these fenders or grills thin glue and Revel Contacta. Okay, let's move to the hull. Now I'm cutting the lower hull from the sprue. And of course, side fenders for the lower hull. This is all plastic parts would need for the hull. So again, cleaning some impurities like excess plastic. Now I cutting the drive wheels. And cleaning with nail file this little hook. And gluing to the back section of the hull. Gluing the side fenders and the drive wheel. Some spare tracks. And fix the position with the thin glue. Finally, wheels. Again, so much wheels. And of course, all wheels I must clean with sandpaper and assembled. Some suspension. And now I'm just cleaning the pinholes on the bottom side of the track, which was very pronounced when it's painted. This is how it looks. And finally I can say that I spray the tracks with a Vallejo oily steel color. Now I'm mixing Revel enamel color, black, which was perfect for wheels. All wheels must be painted. And of course spraying again. And now I of course paint the wheels from inside with sand color. I use for painting Da Vinci brushes. And finally, I covered the whole model in a grey primer. Now I'm making again a wash from oil paint, which was make details more pronounced and tracks a little bit dirtier. And of course on the inside of the wheels it looks more weathered. Some, maybe I think lights or periscopes on the front plate, and these holders from plastic. I think it will look more better from photo edge parts or something like that. This is how it looks assembled. Some accessories on the hull. Of course, hatch, but closed. I think grill or radiator for the engine on the back. And I was for gluing this little tube plastic magic thin glue. And now I glue this front plate armor, which was missing, and fix it with thin glue. So now I clean the excess wash with cotton swab and lacquer thinner or enamel thinner. I choose this scheme, and now I try to make this color light sand, and I finally covering the lower hull with sand color. And don't forget on the tank turret. My airbrush is Fengda BD130 with 3mm nozzle. Gluing all wheels, but with super glue because hull is already painted. I think this tracks from one piece will be more easier to assemble for me, but I was wrong. It was harder than the plastic tracks. Trying to fit upper hull with lower hull. And here is a gap, so I must fill it with a putty and sand it down with sandpaper. After that, I glue this mudguard. And this was horrible. Glue these holders for the fuel tanks because it's too hard to set the, I think, correct geometry, but I use for gluing super glue. Now I'm cutting the rope. And again some fenders. I think another grill or cover for the engine or something like that. Of course these little parts here. And support for the side armor. I glue this tube and I must hide some of my work behind this side armor plate. I know it could be more weathered, but I still learning some new techniques. And so, assemble of these fuel tanks was easy because they have guiding elements, and fix the position with Mr. Cement SP. I must glue the fuel tanks with super glue. So now I glue this like grill fenders, as I said, maybe for RPG launchers on the both sides. And now I mix properly surfacer with lacquer thinner. And again, as usual, I cover the upper hull with grey primer, which was show me some imperfections and make the first color for the other colors. You know, primer color. This color is chemical, so we must wear a face mask and work in a good ventilation room. This is a cool sound with emo mic color. Mixing color properly. And now I showing this shade is correct and this, so I start spraying the whole tank with sand color. After the spraying, I mask masking tape on this scheme, but when I tried to put it down, this was happened. The mask torn apart, so I must work with what I have, like a torn apart masking tape. Of course, mask the front plate and putting masking tape off, because I spray the darker yellow shade. And I use for black color ordinary paintbrush, like Da Vinci. Of course, don't forget on the turret with some camouflage. Okay, and now I'm going to spray the whole tank and turret with a gloss varnish, which was make a protection for the weathering chemicals and for the decals softer and setter. Now I'm applying the decals. I choose this number, and finally I apply the wash on the whole tank. Of course on the engine part and on the whole bottom. Of course, side armor plates. And I can easily clean the excess wash with cotton swab, but sometimes it's better to use enamel thinner. But when it's still fresh, you can wipe it off like this on this fender, and it's make a good looking weather effect. I use the streaking effect from Ammo Make on these fuel tanks. And here is the finished model.